Tommy, we were treated to another great game for an All-Ireland semi-final tonight. Unfortunately, it wasn't Galway's today, it was Limerick's. But where do you think Galway fell down today?
Yeah, tonight I suppose my view, it wasn't a real classic, Valerie. It was more semi-finals are there to be won. You don't have to win it with style, you just have to get there, get to that final, get to the big day. The All-Ireland final is the day you dream of from when you're 4 or 5 years of age. Limerick, they've been dreaming that for like ever. They haven't won an All-Ireland since 1973. Went on then and broke through them barriers in 0-18, and they've been setting extremely high standards ever since. All the pressure was on them all year, because no matter when they're playing, whether it's January, February or later on in the year towards All-Ireland semi-final, final stage, they want to give it everything. There's never anyone, I suppose, taking it easy or putting out dummy teams. So today was all about delivering. And listen, it wasn't their most spectacular performance, but they got there in the end. Galway, where did they lose it today? I really felt they lost by the way they set up. Listen, that's not to say they would have won it anyway. They're up against the top class Limerick team. That Pádraig Mannion, as far as I can remember, I know he was playing midfield for the last couple of games, but I thought he was more sitting as a deep lying midfielder, still a midfielder. But today he kind of operated as an extra full back, or just in front of the full back line. And where Limerick get most of their scores, especially today, was that half-hour line they have and out around midfield. We've seen Tom Morrissey, I think Tom scored 6 today. Garrod Hegarty scored 4. When Peter Casey came on out the field, he played really well and scored a good couple of points. So I thought they should have pushed out the sweeper and maybe had him out around the half-back line midfield area, as opposed to have him inside.
They were also hit with injury woes today, which didn't add to it. They called Mannion and then they Joe Canning at the end. It was reportedly a concussion, and they were 2 big losses to the game.
They were, and I think the Cotton Mannion one was big because it was early in the game. And when he got injured, after 20 minutes, they had to rearrange their team. So David Burke had been playing midfield, so he actually ended up going out wing forward. And I think David Burke has always played his best hurling out midfield. I don't think he's a natural wing forward as such. I think he's always, both for St Thomas's and for Galway, when he's nearly man of the match, it's out around midfield. So when Mannion went off, he had to go back, and they brought in Adrian Toohey then into the middle of the field. So I just thought they had to make too many switches then when the Cottle Mannion did go off. And we've seen Cottle Mannion, he's after, like Conor Whelan, he's after turning into one of the real leaders of this Galway team. So it was definitely a huge disadvantage to Galway, him going off.
Let's talk about Joe Canning for a second. I know he was a loss to the injury, but those sideline cuts today, Tommy, I mean, you don't see them too often, but you don't see 4 of them.
No, and I have a bucket at home with 17 hurling balls in it, and I go down maybe 2 or 3 times a week hitting the ball over the bar. Usually I score 1 out of 17. So to score 4 in an All-Ireland semi-final of this magnitude against the top team in the country, it was unbelievable, really. You'd be lucky usually to score maybe 1 sideline, 2 sidelines, but to score 4, and even when he went off, Fintan Burke took a sideline. So they scored 5 points from sidelines today, and it's a really tough thing to do. These guys make it look easy, but I suppose the winter conditions, maybe that greasy surface does lend to better conditions for a sideline cut taken. But it was a joy to be here just to see them alone.
It was a tough loss for them today, but let's take a look at Limerick. It did take them quite some time to get going, but did they in the end?
It took them a while to get going, and I think it was really that half-hour line, them 2 guys that we speak about so much. It used to be the trio with Kyle Hayes, Garrod Hegarty and Tom Morrissey. Now with Kyle Hayes gone back and Stormer as usual on the wing back in the half-back line, I thought it was left up to Tom Morrissey now and Garrod Hegarty, and they delivered in style. So we had Pádraig Mannion sitting inside, so it was very difficult to get Graham Mulcahy and Aaron Gillan into the game with Pádraig Mannion there, because he's such a good reader of the game. So instead they were kind of hurting Galway from out the field, and Garrod Hegarty, especially in that first half, and Tom Morrissey, they scored, I'd say, from playing the first half alone, they probably scored 6 points between them.
And looking at their performance, and I know that they upped the ante in the end, but plenty of wides, and it's something that they need to look at heading into the All-Ireland final.
Yeah, well, we've probably seen it last night with Waterford. When you strike a lot of wides, it tends to be either under pressure or you're hitting from far out the field. And because Galway had Pádraig Mannion inside, Limerick tend to take a lot of shots from out the field, which lends itself to a good few wides. I think they need to maybe penetrate the goal that bit more. I know they had a couple of goal chances here today, but they need to probably score a couple of them if they want to win. Maybe like today they won by 3 points, but they were hanging on at the end. There was a game that if that had got a goal or two, they would have won to be maybe 6 or 9 points. So if they want to maybe ease the pressure going into the last 5 minutes, they need to score goals. And an All-Ireland final, like, if they're going to come up against a Waterford team that is in the height of its powers, their best players, the Jamie Barnes, the Austin Gleesons, they're all coming into kind of, they've experience behind. They won't just be happy to be in an All-Ireland final. Like maybe, the last time during the All-Ireland final 2017, it's your first time there, you're kind of excited, you can get carried away, but they'll be focused over the next 2 weeks, Waterford, so Limerick will have to be up for it to win that final.
A real unique pairing. In a year we didn't think we'd have Jay, or we didn't think we'd have anything, and here we have an All-Ireland final, Limerick and Waterford. They've never ever played each other in an All-Ireland final.
Yeah, that's great, and I suppose you only have to look at history. Limerick have only won one since 1973. Waterford, I think they haven't won it since 1959. So whoever wins this All-Ireland final, I think it'll spark huge, hopefully not celebrations, but maybe enjoyment in each of the counties. So I think for the neutral, it's going to be a fascinating final. I think that the Limerick team and Panlin, the way they conduct themselves, they're very modest, very humble. John Kiley, Paul Kinnerk, extremely good guys as well. So I think no matter who wins the final, the neutral will be happy.
Of course the neutral will be happy. I think anyone will be happy to see an All-Ireland final now. We were chatting to John Kiley below, and we were asking him about players not being left come for the All-Ireland final, and those players are training every maybe a couple of days with each other, and to be not left up here on big days like this is very tough to take. Imagine if it was you as a player, Tommy.
Yeah, and maybe they could wink and a nudge to a few lads around Crow Park maybe, and put them up around. I'm sure he would.
A yellow bib.
And a yellow bib, yeah. We're looking around Valerie Crow Park here. You could hide a few lads maybe around that stadium somewhere, so maybe they might come up with some sort of an idea like that. And it's really easy to do the social distance in here, so possibly maybe that might be an idea for someone. Yeah,
but you would like to see them being part of the panel on a day. It's such it'd be a shame if you were to sit down at home and you were part of that team at some stage and you've an All-Ireland medal then and you're not there.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough. All joking aside, very, very tough. Like I used to, when you were a sub, I was a sub in 2014 for Kilkenny when we won the All-Ireland, and what happens is, I was there, lucky enough that time, you're allowed to go to the match, but you do everything. You do all the training from January, February. You're playing all the matches in training. You're doing the drills. So you're doing everything the 15 players that are starting are doing, but on the day, when you kind of release all that tension, release all that energy, just get it out of your system and enjoy the occasion, you don't do it. You're sitting watching on, and it is great, and you 100% deserve your All-Ireland medal as a sub or as a panel member, probably more so than the players, because you sacrifice not getting to strut out your stuff on the big stage. So take that back another step where you can't even come into the game. That must be really heartbreaking. So it would be absolutely wonderful to see them players coming in. But I thought it was a major move out of John Kiley the last to say, listen, this isn't us celebrating after the Munster final. I think he said tonight we will have the real presentation next Tuesday night when we go back training. So that's sending out a message to the players watching at home. Listen, this guy, John Kiley, he's the boss, but he is still thinking about us. Even though we're sitting back here in our couches, maybe at home or in the sitting room, Kiley is still thinking about us. And it sends out a strong message, and I thought it was brilliant for your leader to remember you on the big day.
Yeah, I think it'll be lovely if they are involved, because people will be giving out that me and you are here and they're not.
Yeah.
We're getting away with it, Tommy.
They can't give out of us too much. We have to be here.
Thanks very much, Tommy.
No bother. Thanks, Valerie.